So it looks like we're getting a new Spider-Man the Animated Series version of Kraven the Hunter for the Spider-Man retro card line. But is this one any good, soulmates? Is it accurate to the animated series? And is he worth your money? Be sure you stick around until the end, guys, because we're going to talk about what Spider-Man character we want to see released as a Marvel Legend next. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. The history of Kraven action figures is a relatively narrow one. The first action figure he ever got, to my knowledge, was in the Spider-Man the Animated Series line back in 1994. This one was a relatively simple action figure. It came with a spear throwing action feature that allowed him to throw the spear that came in the package with him, and other than that, he had some pretty okay sculpting on him. They sculpted on his vest, they sculpted on the spikes on his belt, and you know, he looked alright. And I think more importantly, he was a fun action figure. Kraven didn't really get another action figure until the Spider-Man Classics line, where we saw a more, well, classic version of him released in his traditional costume. This is the one that we saw in the Spider-Man Classics line, as well as the Marvel Legends Sinister Six box set. The only real difference between these two is that they have different head sculpts. One of them looks like he's screaming a lot louder at Spider-Man. As far as 6-inch action figures go, we didn't really see Kraven again until 2015's Rhino wave, where we got Kraven the Hunter in there, and this one has some pretty cool features on him. Namely, it introduces the lion head vest that we see on future Kraven the Hunter action figures, and I think that the skulls on his pants are pretty cool too. The next Kraven we saw was from the Kraven's Last Hunt 2-pack, and this one has some different elements on it. Namely, it has a new belt on there with spikes, and it also features a more classic Kraven design. Besides that, he reuses the same vest, and he comes with a new head sculpt. This one is more of a snarling face than the resting face that we saw back during the Rhino wave. And with that, that brings us to the new Kraven the Hunter, based on Spider-Man the Animated Series, that will be a part of the Spider-Man retro card line. And this one is going to be a Walmart exclusive, guys. I have mixed feelings about the Walmart exclusive stuff because some of it I've been able to get, but others I haven't been able to get all that well. For instance, it was pretty easy to pre-order the Lizard, although I did not pre-order him, I waited until he came out, and then it was pretty hard to get the Lizard because Walmart is absolutely terrible about keeping anything stocked. And really, why are we releasing the most popular, desirable characters at Walmart only? Because doesn't it make more sense to have a wider release than just Walmart? Really? We're gonna take Marvel's most popular character, the most popular superhero in the entire world, and we're just gonna release him at Walmart. A very desirable action figure, but only at Walmart. Yeah, that's awesome. So I can only imagine how difficult Kraven the Hunter will be to get, but let's talk about Kraven the Hunter and start off with the positives here. I like the colors on this one. I think that the color scheme is very vivid, and it's a lot more lively than other Kraven the Hunter action figures I've seen. So yeah, the colors here are really appealing and they make it look really nice. I also like the paint job on the leopard print around his arm, as well as the animal print around his wrist and his boots, because that's a nice touch from the show that I would have been a little worried they wouldn't get right, but it does look like it's about accurate to what we see on the show there, and it makes Kraven look that much nicer. But with the good comes the bad, soulmates, and now we have to talk about the inaccuracies on Kraven the Hunter here compared to what we see on Spider-Man the Animated Series, and unfortunately there's quite a few of them. Very obviously, this one is supposed to be based on Spider-Man the Animated Series, but you know, as usual, there's a few things that have gone awry in designing this one that don't make them quite that accurate. Like right off the bat, we notice that Kraven features the same head that was featured on the Kraven's Last Hunt action figure. And that's not really an appropriate head for Kraven here, for Kraven from Spider-Man the Animated Series, because Kraven on that show had, well, one, a thicker mustache. Not only was his mustache thicker, but he also didn't have such a sharp-looking patch of beard growth. He had something that was a little bit more squared off, still kind of angular, but didn't look like this. And also, this head is just so angry, and it's not necessarily wrong for Kraven to be angry, but it's angry to an absurd degree. I think if you look at the way Kraven is depicted on Spider-Man the Animated Series, you'll find that a lot of the facial expressions that he used were a little bit more in the realm of determined or maybe frustrated, but outright furious like this, it just doesn't really work for me. Moving on down the body, we've got another part that's been done wrong, and it's the lion's head vest. This is one that was really important to get right, and they just didn't get it right whatsoever, because on the animated series, Kraven wears sort of a vest like this, but he doesn't have hair going all the way down the sides of the front like you see here. They end at the top of the vest. And that fur that surrounds his shoulders and the back of his vest also goes a little bit higher than this. It goes to about the middle of his head on the animated series, so it just doesn't look quite right. You go down the front of this vest, and on the animated series, it looks a lot different from what we're seeing on this action figure. On the cartoon, the design tapers off on the lion face a lot more at the bottom. Also on the cartoon, there's a little cord that holds his vest together, but we don't see that detail here. They just omitted it because they're reusing a vest that was done back in 2015 on the Rhino release. The belt that this one is wearing is reused from the Kraven's Last Hunt action figure, and they look like they're okay, although on the animated series, all the spikes are kinda equidistant apart, and also they don't have a little curve to them. They're more or less poking straight out. More conspicuously though, Kraven's trunks, the very top of them, don't feature the same leopard print that we're seeing on the armband, and why that was omitted doesn't make any sense to me, because if they remember to do the armband, what's stopping them from doing the trunks? It's a really obvious element, and if they were gonna do it to begin with, they were gonna paint it anyway. So why they decided to omit it, I don't know. It seems like the people designing this weren't paying attention, or they didn't even bother to refer to a single episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series when they were designing this. And that's really unfortunate, because when that sort of thing happens, we wind up with action figures like this that bear little resemblance to what we know and love from that cartoon. Finally, the last thing that I would say is inaccurate on this one is that they've just tacked a pair of Captain America's boots on Kraven the Hunter, and Kraven the Hunter doesn't wear floppy pirate boots, dude. He has folds of animal print that go over the tops of his boots, and this just looks strange. It doesn't look right at all. Aside from the inaccuracies, guys, it looks like Kraven the Hunter has been kitbashed together from a few different sources. Obviously, he has a Kraven the Hunter head that's being reused from Kraven's Last Hunt, and a lot of the body looks like it belongs to Vulcan. Not the gauntlets though. I don't know about those, but I definitely know that those boots are coming from Captain America. And I know that the vest is coming from the 2015 Rhino, and the belt is coming again from Kraven's Last Hunt. I know why the spear is included with Kraven the Hunter, because obviously it's just an easy accessory to include with him, and they already used it with the Kraven the Hunter action figures in the past, and it looks pretty decent, so I guess it's just something to fill out the package. Although, when I went back and rewatched the first episode where Kraven appeared on Spider-Man the Animated Series, he used a bolo and he also used a improvised smoke bomb that was in a little pouch that he had. So I would have liked to have seen maybe something like that included with the package, you know, just to have something a little closer to what we actually see on Spider-Man the Animated Series. In another way, I guess you could also say that the spear that we're seeing in this package is a nod to the original Spider-Man the Animated Series Kraven that was made by Toy Biz, so I'm not too mad about getting a spear in the package. It's just the rest of the action figure really has me feeling cold because it doesn't seem like they put much effort into this one. Is this one worth your money, guys? I really don't think so. I think you should just hold out for a better version of Kraven the Hunter, because this is not it. They should just go back to the drawing table and do it again. I guess I'll still review them if people really want to see it and if there's enough interest, but honestly, I just don't want them all that badly for my collection. Well, soulmates, now that we've seen Kraven the Hunter, sort of, I guess, what Spider-Man character do we want to see next, dare I ask? Well, I would love to see Dr. Octopus. I think everyone agrees that we want to see Dr. Octopus with the bendy tentacles. Well, soulmates, what do you think of this Kraven the Hunter action figure? Is this one that you want for your collection? Are you on the fence because maybe you think that, the quality is not quite all there, but he's still a character I really like? Or are you just not that interested because maybe you don't think that it's all that great of an action figure? Or you're just not interested in Kraven altogether? I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and be sure you let me know what Spider-Man characters you want to see as a Marvel Legend next. If you want to learn more about the Spider-Man the Animated Series VHS 2-pack that's a Pulse exclusive, you can check that video out here, soulmates.